Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am so happy to see you back for another review on my channel. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a really long time, and I am so excited to be back and to be talking books with you guys. So today I have a review of Sybil by Flora Rheta Schreiber. I believe that's how you say her name. So this book was published in 1973. This is a non-fiction story about a woman who has suffered from dissociative identity disorder since the age of 3. This is her journey to becoming a whole person, meaning the integration of her other personalities into one, the waking Sybil. The basis of this book is essentially the sessions with Dr. Wilbur, her psychoanalyst. There are also other perspectives in this book. Not only do we see the perspectives of Sybil and her other personalities, I shouldn't say personalities, let's say other selves. Selves is a good word. Then we also see the perspective of Dr. Wilbur and the author of this book as well, because she met Sybil towards the end of her journey in therapy and she became very close friends with her. This story could very well be the premise of a fiction story. It is that crazy, it's that unbelievable, but it is all very much true. Every word on every page has been confirmed by Sybil herself to be true. Sybil is not the real name of the real person this book is about. They use the name Sybil Dorset in both movies and in this book to protect the identity of the girl whom the story is about. For the purposes of this video, we will be referring to her as Sybil. So Sybil went through 11 years of psychoanalysis and hypnotherapy. This is a journey of her therapy with Dr. Wilbur, and it also takes us back to the past traumas and the moments that her being dissociated into other beings. We also get to see post-therapy and whole Sybil and a glimpse into a little bit of her life before she passed. I just want to say that this book is amazing. It is so good, and I really do recommend this to anyone who is seeking a nonfiction read. So it's not often that I get goosebumps reading a story. This gave me a multitude of goosebumps throughout the story, and a gigantic episode of goosebumps at the very end. That's usually a good indicator of a good book. I don't know, that's just me. But man, this book, it's so empowering, it's so impactful, it gets you thinking about yourself, about the people around you, about the world in general. It opens your eyes to the evil and the manipulation of other people. It opens your eyes to the wow factor of the human race and what we are capable of becoming. Sybil dissociated into 16 other selves in order to protect herself, in order to use those other selves as protectors, and those other selves really just could stand in her place at times where she couldn't feel that she could go no more. This author did an amazing job. I can tell that a lot of time and effort went into writing this book. I can appreciate an author who does that. I mean, it's one thing to write a book and pump them out, you know, like Stephen King does constantly. But to really take the time and effort to get something so perfect and so right, and to tell someone else's story in a way that impacts and and changes the lives of other people once they discover their story. It's just, this book is timeless, in my opinion. It gets you thinking about the things that we take for granted, like the simple idea of time, okay? I'm sure you remember what you did yesterday. I'm sure you remember at the end of the day everything that happened to you during that day. I'm sure when you go and you lay down at bed at night, you plan for tomorrow. Those are the things that Sybil could never do for over 40 years. It's just insane to me how someone can endure all of that, go through blackouts that sometimes last over 2 years, not even remember 2 years of going to school and the math that you learn. When you come to, you're like, I don't know how to do this. And then everyone thinks you're lying. But it's because another self had taken over during that time. And that particular self holds those gifts and holds that knowledge that was taught to her. But the waking Sybil does not. It's amazing to me. It really is how the human mind works and how it's able to overcome things that other people wouldn't be able to endure and would not be able to live on after having gone through these things. I mean, Sybil was tortured. Sybil was straight up tortured. And it almost makes me cry when I think about it, because you know, when I watched this movie, I was in high school. That was, man, 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. Reading this book, I'm a mother. I mean, the things this poor girl went through. You guys, this book, I'm telling you, no hesitations at all whatsoever. This book is 5 stars. 5 freaking stars. I'm going to hold this book dear to my heart, and I'm going to pass this on to my children. So, okay, I didn't know it was going to be this intense coming back to BookTube, y'all. Maybe it's that time of month coming around the corner. Okay, so after reading the book, I wanted to do a little bit more research on it before I did this video. So I'm just going to share some things that I learned. So Sybil Isabel Dorset was the name that was used in the book and both the movies. That is not her real name. Her real name was Shirley Ardell Mason. But they didn't want to use her real name to protect her identity. The first film was released in 1976. I watched it in the 2000s. It stars Sally Field. Sally Field does an amazing job at playing Sybil, and I do plan on rewatching that. I had not known, however, that there was a newer movie adaptation that came out in 2007. I do not know who stars in that, but I do plan on going to the library sooner rather than later to try and find those movies, because I'm really intrigued in watching them to see how similar they are, etc., etc. After her treatment, when Sybil finally became a whole person, she never experienced any more blackouts. She was a person who felt real, who by combining all of those different selves into integration with her, she essentially adopted all of those personalities and the best parts of those people to become Sybil, the waking Sybil. Sybil has obviously passed, but before she passed, she had moved to Lexington, Kentucky, which is very close to home, and I thought that was a really neat fact. She moved there to be closer to Dr. Wilbur, which was her psychoanalyst, and Wilbur actually developed Parkinson's disease, and Sybil basically moved in with her for the last couple of years of her life to take care of her. And I thought that was just so sweet and so touching because, you know, Dr. Wilbur had helped her overcome something that she had no hope of overcoming. And just knowing that she was the person that was there for Dr. Wilbur in the last couple years of her life, to just take care of her and try to repay her back for everything that she had done for her, that's just so touching to me. And I'm glad that I researched that and found that out. And then 6 years later, Sybil died from breast cancer. Another fact that I discovered was that over 100 paintings were found locked in Sybil's basement of her home in Lexington, Kentucky during a renovation, and they're called the hidden paintings. So these paintings are from her childhood all the way up into the age where she died. And so obviously the earlier ones are paintings that were done by her other selves, as well as the waking Sybil. There are letters at the end of this book. These are letters to the author of the book, post-therapy, post-healing. So this is when both the author, Sybil herself, and Dr. Wilbur have come to the realization that Sybil is just Sybil. She is whole, she is healthy. So she wrote in 1965 to the author of this book, and before I read it, Capri is the name of her cat that she's had for several years prior to her recovery. I wish you could see my house. Connie, Dr. Wilbur, said it was cheaper to buy than rent, and she lent me the money for the down payment. My guest room is fairly large. It is for you, Dr. Connie, and Laura in turn. See, I'm so thrilled to have my own place. Capri is here with me. Her favorite spot is the front window ledge. I sometimes wonder if she notices I'm only me. November 20th, 1968. It's wonderful how well things are going. After a little over 3 years, there are times when I still can't believe how lucky I am. I can remember everything and can account for every minute of each day. You can well understand how reassuring it is for me to be just Sybil because you knew me when it was otherwise. To talk about some of her other selves a little bit, they were miraculous. Some of them were tiny children. Some of them were boys. They had different style, different tastes, different interests, different opinions, different religious beliefs, different levels of talent. Sybil had a passion for painting, and her other selves painted as well. And each of their paintings were different styles. Her different selves were essentially her defenders against a world that she couldn't face at certain times in her life. If you only knew the things that this child endured. 5 stars to Sybil by Flora Rheta Schreiber. Not a star less. If I could give more stars, I would. But yeah, this is probably close to my favorite read of the year. So I hope you guys enjoyed this book review of Sybil, and I'm sorry if I got a little bit too emotional there. That was not planned. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.